It's a Jenkins Minute. You've heard me say once or 17 times that Jesus came in the tradition of the prophets. I'm going to argue too that maybe Jesus came in the tradition of the prostitutes. Ellie, I'm going to need to explain that one. Okay, so here's the story. In Joshua 2, the Jewish people have made it from enslavement in Egypt now all the way after 40 years to the banks of the Jordan River, and they're going to cross into this promised land. Well, the first city they're going to go and engage with is Jericho, so they sent 2 spies there. When the spies got there, they were welcomed in by a prostitute who lived in the city walls by the name of Rahab. Now, she wasn't a prostitute because she chose to be a prostitute. That's the place in society she was basically assigned, and she was living in the wall of the city, which is the place where the outcasts lived. She welcomed in the 2 spies. She made sure that the authorities didn't find them and then sent them on their way. And because of that, she and all of her family were spared when the walls came tumbling down at Jericho and everything along with it. So that's the first story of Rahab. When does she show up the second time? She shows up in the genealogy of Jesus Christ in the book of Matthew. Of all places, that's where she shows up. And the reason is quite interesting. The book of Matthew is a king's book. You can be part of the kingdom of good or the kingdom of evil, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of Satan. Jesus can be your Lord and King, or Caesar can. That's how the book of Matthew is set up. All kings had genealogies to prove that they were supposed to be king, and Jesus's was no different. In the book of Matthew, he has a genealogy, and the 32nd person ahead of him in the genealogy is a woman named Rahab. It's Jesus's 29th great-great-grandmama. But for whatever reason, Matthew made sure that we saw that she was part of the tradition in which Jesus came. She was an integral part of it. So what are our takeaways? There could probably be several. One is God can work through anybody, so we need to make sure we are listening to a lot of different people, even the outcasts. And that's another one. Are we listening to the outcasts in this world? Because they'll tell us something that those of us who are often on the inside will never hear. The third thing we can take away from it is that we need to be careful of who we deem good and who we deem bad. For surely she was deemed a horrible person, and so was Jesus by a whole lot of people that mattered. Regardless of that, though, what we do know is Jesus came in the tradition of at least one prostitute, but definitely of the outcasts. Jesus came in the tradition of the outcasts. And isn't it interesting that the greatest outcast of them all was able to change everything for everybody and forever? God bless you all.